Hello and welcome to Pompey Talk in partnership with Jan Leap on the eve of a brand new season. My name is Mark McMahon and join me in the studio today to discuss Pompey's game against Carlisle as new sports writers Jeff Marshman and Jordan Cross. Guys, welcome back. You looking forward to a new season?
Shall I go first?
Go on, Jeff.
Yeah, very much so. I think last season, obviously, there's still a few Pompey fans who are probably a little bit disappointed that they didn't go up first time under Paul Cook, and third time of asking, isn't it, in League Two? But I've got a good feeling about this season, and I think with the signings that Pompey have made in the summer and the strength and depth they've got in the squad, I think, fingers crossed, this could be the time.
Jordy, Jeff mentioned Paul Cook's transfer business there already.
Yes.
How would you assess it?
More than expected. He talked about tinkering towards the end of last season. I think the 11th one came through the door this week, so that's more than a tinker. He's been well backed by the board. They've stretched the budget off the back of 12,250 season ticket sales, which is a fantastic return. To get that, everyone kind of thought from the board down there might be a finite amount to that loyalty of the fans coming back, and there was some concern about whether they could push the barriers again, and there might be a drop. But so to get greater season tickets than ever at this level is a testament to the supporters. It's allowed Paul to go out and assemble a really decent looking squad. They've covered the bases. I mean, perhaps people would like some, maybe a few more goals. Someone with a real sort of reputation for getting 20 plus goals. No one's done that for Pompey since Toddy back in 2003. But I'm impressed with the business. I'm encouraged. It was a strong squad already, and it's stronger. And please just go out and deliver now, because I can't handle another trip to Morecambe and Accrington, etc. again next week. Sorry, Morecambe. Sorry, Morecambe and Accrington. Yeah, but please no more.
Okay. Well, there's been 11 signings, as Jordan said there, Jeff. Is there anybody in particular that has stood out for you?
Cole Baker probably, and recently David Ford coming in. I think Ford's probably the big one, isn't he, with where Pompey were with their goalkeeping situation, and then sort of the turnaround that's then produced with Paul Jones going off to Norwich, and where that leaves Pompey and stuff. I think Ford's an excellent signing at this level. I couldn't quite believe it when it was announced that. He is. He's well up for it. He's absolutely forward focused, the man.
Thank you.
And
got there in the end, Jeff. Didn't you?
It's going to be slow. If you want gags, it's going to be very slow with me today. But yeah, I think to be was it May that he was playing for Republic of Ireland and
played against Belarus. Yes.
Absolutely incredible for Pompey to be attracting a player of that calibre down to League Two. Let's not forget. And Carl Baker was the other one that I mentioned earlier. I think that he will add the bit of creativity that was possibly lacking. There was talk, wasn't there, last season that Pompey maybe a little bit slow with the final ball, and I think he'll give you that, and also he's got quite a good shot on him from the edge of the box as well.
He does like a shot, Jordy. We've seen that already
Baker,
this season.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't mess around. I mean, at Bristol City last week, he must have had about 5 or 6, which is needed. I mean, he's direct, and if you look at the footage, it's all on there on YouTube from MK Dons. He just likes to run at people, and that's what defenders hate more than anything. The ability to pick the ball and engage defenders. They can frighten the life out of people. And if you look at his goal record as well, I think it was 4 or 5 last season, but he's getting up into double figures and 15 a couple of seasons back. So he's in good nick as well. I know people will look at his age, and I know that's peeved him somewhat because he thinks, like, I've kind of looked after myself here. And for Pompey to go out, that's the marquee signing for me. And they paid out, they've gone out and paid good money. He on a reduced contract coming out of the Championship, which, as you expect with MK Dons, but Pompey have kind of been able to go out there and punch weight with, really attempt him down here. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the same two as Jeff, really. I mean, David Ford's the key, perhaps even more so given the 5 keepers last season.
How important is that there? Because Pompey have all summer been looking for a goalkeeper, and all of a sudden he's arrived.
Critical.
Yeah.
I mean, the most important signing. I mean, 5 keepers last season. People have almost put it at Paul Cook that he's got a bit of a blind spot with keepers, and he's probably the first to admit he should have given it more attention than perhaps he did. He kind of goes out and gets his attacking options, and then kind of sees what's left at the end of it, the budget. But Ford's he's done it. He's a big character. I spoke to him last week. He's outgoing. He's going to be loud and brash and not frightened to upset the back four and kick some backsides if he needs to. He's the sort of person that will be big in the dressing room, and Paul Cook's been big on this summer with his recruitment. He's looking at characters, not just in the playing staff, but the coaching staff as well. There's a lot of new faces at the club, and he wants proper characters. I mean, a lot of the staff beforehand came through from the academy. He's got real characters around there. Andy Proctor coming in from is on the medical side of things, a player that was playing last season. Robbie Blake's there as well. John Keeley, the goalkeeping coach, being away with him in Ireland, you notice the difference straight away. So perhaps some of the signings could be as important off the pitch as on it.
Okay. Well, Jeff, obviously 11 signings, as we've mentioned already. There's going to be a lot of competition for place there, and a few disappointed faces whenever Paul Cook announces a squad for Carlisle tomorrow.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think maybe it's almost time to address the elephant in the room. That the Pompey magazine we have.
You've got Gary Roberts on the sofa and you're not even asking him his opinion.
Well,
nice to have Gary in, isn't it? It's good of him to give his time up on the eve of the new season. You think maybe he'd be resting up, but here he is, joining us on the sofa. But for the Pompey magazine, I did my. We each offered an expert opinion to write what we thought.
Jeff Marsman, expert opinion.
Some people laughed at me being an expert.
David James says,
on
something
Pompey.
of a paradox.
Yeah. So for some reason I'm now an expert, but I'll take it. Thanks very much. And my expert opinion was that Connor Chaplin, I think, is key to what Pompey do this season. But with Paul Cook being Paul Cook and favouring the 4-2-3-1, I'm just questioning where he fits in. Obviously, Pompey, one of the 11 signings that they made was to re-sign Michael Smith, who looks like he plays the front man role, sort of the line leading role really well, and then he back to goal is obviously far better than Connor Chaplin, who's more of a fox in the box, out and out goal scorer. And look at what happened to the last guy who could probably be coined that term, Matt Tubbs. He just didn't have a place, and he ended up sort of being pushed out of Pompey. So I'm not suggesting for a second that's going to happen to Connor Chaplin, because I know that Paul Cook really likes him, but he's got this dilemma now, hasn't he? How does Connor fit in the team? Because if there is someone who could get 20 goals a season, I think it's Connor. So that's the one for me in terms of the quality personnel that Pompey are blessed with in the squad. How do you fit them all into the team? That's what Paul Cook's going to have to look at really hard this season.
You look at the likes of Kyle Bennett too, Jordan.
Yeah.
Everybody's predicting he's going to be sitting on the bench. A guy who was actually winning over a lot of the fans at the end of last season.
Yeah, there was some light-hearted ribbon on the Irish tour about that with Laukovic coming in. He took it all in good spirits. But the truth of the matter is there's depth to that squad now. Paul Cook's got a challenge on his hands to keep everyone happy. Give it 4 or 5 weeks into the season. That's when players aren't playing games. I mean, we haven't even mentioned Curtis Main and Noel Hunt yet in terms of the attacking options. Yeah. I mean, these are big players that are stepping down divisions to come and be a part of things at Pompey. Paul Cook intimated that it's going to be perhaps 2 up top at home this season. My thought is it'd be 4-2-3-1 tomorrow. Everything points towards that. That's a factor that comes into play as well. He's got a job on his hands really to keep everyone happy, but that's what he's there and paid to do.
Yeah. At the end of last season, obviously the disappointment with Plymouth. Since you've been back, have you sensed a more eagerness in Paul Cook to right last season's wrongs, or has there been any motivational issues there at all?
I'm asking that very question yesterday. It was the first question I gave him in the press conference. I said that 12 hours after the defeat at Plymouth, I don't remember, May the 16th, we were called in and Paul he was on the verge of a breakdown, breaking down in tears at the game. He didn't want to speak to the press, so he summoned us the next day. And it was really kind of an uplifting sort of cathartic experience really to be there and around him when you were so down and seeing his determination and how he was feeling the pain for one. So he was feeling the pain that the supporters were, but also his determination to put things right. He said I was kind of putting bids in for players the next day and really looking ahead. So I asked him about that yesterday and how that's with him, and he said that pain's still raw, it's still there. And if you can bottle it up, he'd like to do that and say, well, we don't want to feel this again to the players. So that's a real driving force, and it's something actually we're going to pick up in the Sports Mail this weekend.
Okay, Jeff, you mentioned the magazine. In the magazine itself, we had Cook, we had Ian McInnes, we had Mark Catlin spelling out that it has to be promotion this season.
And Barry Harrison, Kev the Kitman as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Who didn't we have in the Pompey magazine, to be fair? It's quite a few.
Johnny Moore wasn't happy about his lack of featuring.
Is that right? Next year, Johnny definitely will send you up. But Jeff...
4 pages for Joe Pepler as well. Look up photographer.
But Jeff, the chairman, the chief executive, the manager are all spelling out it has to be promotion this season, and you expect that's what the majority of the fans are also expecting.
It seems that it's had to be promotion for the previous 3 though, doesn't it? So, of course it does. I think what the difference is this time round is that they were so close last season, weren't they? In the previous campaigns, no disrespect, but they hadn't really looked like they were ever going to go up. Last season was in and around the top 3, and then a little drop into the playoffs, and then that fateful day at Plymouth when it all sort of unravelled. But I think Pompey have addressed the areas of weakness, the perceived areas of weakness that they've got in their team, and for that going forwards, there was enough of good stuff last season to suggest that there was only little tinkering that needed to be done to the team rather than wholesale. This needs to change, that needs to change. So I think that Pompey should be fine.
We're talking about the players the new players. What about the players that were already here? I mean, Gary, he could be a key man for me this season. He needs to really step up. I would say him and Baker are the fundamental ones. And I can't believe you've got him on the sofa. You're not asking him any questions. You make the effort to get the guy in.
The last time you spoke to him, he was asleep on the plane, so I didn't want to disturb him.
I did tweet a picture. I don't know if you've got it here. I don't know. I don't think you'll be able to see it. But yeah, that was on the way back from Ireland. And me and Gary are having a war this season now. I think I've sort of created a bit of a monster there by sort of tweeting a picture of him with sort of his nose and mouth sort of snoring and mouth wide open on the way back from Ireland. Yeah, I'm going to get into trouble now.
Well, Jordy, we'll have to mention, obviously, we play Carlisle tomorrow. A difficult start for Pompey in the grand scheme of things. Yeah,
recruited well. They've been given a bit of money there. Not sort of anything in the sphere of Pompey, but to go and get the likes of, Nicky Adams has got to be one of the best pieces of business across the summer to tempt him back up there. Danny Rose in the paper today talking about his experiences with Nicky last season when Northampton won the title and they're good friends. So that's a heck of a piece of business. But I think James DeVitt's a good signing. The lad Penn, who impressed at York last season when Pompey played him.
Very good.
Miller up front. So a stern test of Pompey's credentials. I think it's going to be a tight game. And I wouldn't be surprised if Carlisle, whatever been picking teams, are going to be there or thereabouts this season.
Yeah.
I think you looked at Doncaster as being the main rival. But Luton have kind of recruited reasonably well, with the likes of Hilton and Mullen going there. Leyton Orient have got a few quid. Blackpool. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like Carlisle in and around the playoffs last season, I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of there, or if not even a bit further on.
Okay. Well, Jeff, we'll go to you then for a prediction for the game. Go ahead. Pompey win, lose, draw.
I'm going to be pessimistic here. I think
new season, new optimism.
Everything is there for Pompey to just run riot, but I've just got this horrible feeling that they'll go a goal up and they won't get the second, and that Carlisle will nick a 1-1 draw and they won't deserve it at all. So I hope I'm wrong, but there's no point in me going, I think they'll win, and say I think they're going to win every week, when deep down I've got this nagging feeling that something's going to go wrong tomorrow.
You believe that, Jordan?
I can't believe that. No.
Speak with honesty, can't you? That's all you can do. Hopefully I'm wrong. I'd love to.
Jordy, lift the mood. Come on.
Well, no one's mentioned my red socks yet, which I'm going to get stick for. I'm not surprised you've gone that long. They're not Southampton socks. They are, Pompey do wear red, so I'm going to keep with that. Because they are going to be my lucky socks, I'm going to go for a win. I think it'll be a tight game. I'll go for a 2-1. I think Smith might go on the score sheet. I don't know if it'll be first goal. I know he's got taken a bit of stick, and I'm not sure if he's the 20 goal a season man, but he's been playing most games this season, and I think he'll be a decent supply of goals.
Okay. Well, thanks, lads, for coming back to the studio. We'll see you all again on Monday and reassess how things worked out. You'll be watching Pompey Talk in partnership with Jan Leap. We'll see you all again soon. Goodbye.